The elevator woman Eli worked late. He always did. By the time he left his office, the city was half asleep, and the streets reflected the orange glow of streetlights on wet pavement. His apartment building stood silent and tired. The kind of place that seemed to remember every life that had ever passed through it. The elevator was old paint chipped, the light inside yellow and weak, the kind that hummed faintly like a dying bee. It was 2:37 a.m. when Eli stepped inside. He pressed the button for the 5th floor and leaned against the cold wall, waiting for the slow mechanical groan of the lift. Just before the doors closed, a pale hand slipped between them. They opened again with a tired sigh, and a woman stepped in. She wore a faded gray dress that hung strangely still, even in the faint current of air. Her hair was black and damp-looking, her eyes cast down. She pressed the button for the 6th floor without looking up. Eli nodded politely, but she didn't respond. The elevator began to move, creaking through the floors. In the dull metal reflection of the doors, Eli saw himself clearly, but where the woman should have been standing beside him there was nothing, just an empty space. His heart gave a small, confused kick. He turned his head. She was there, still facing the doors, still, perfectly still. He blinked hard and looked back at the reflection. Still nothing. The elevator chimed softly and stopped at the 5th floor. Eli stepped out quickly, forcing a small smile. As the doors began to close, he looked back one last time. The woman's head turned slightly toward him, slowly, like something remembering how to move. Her face was completely smooth. No eyes, no mouth, no features at all. Just blank, pale skin. The doors shut with a click. The next night, Eli tried to shake the memory off. Lack of sleep. Stressed, he told himself anything that made sense. But at 2:37 again, his shift ended, and his feet found their way to the elevator like they always did. When the doors slid open, the car was empty. He hesitated, then stepped inside. This time, before he could press his floor, the elevator stopped by itself at the 3rd. The doors opened to a hallway drowned in darkness. Nobody there. He stood frozen, waiting for the doors to close. Then, faintly, from the hallway, came the sound of footsteps, heels, tapping softly on tile. Getting closer, he pressed the close button again and again. It didn't respond. The lights flickered. The sound stopped right at the door. And then, just behind him, a whisper so close it brushed his ear. "You left me between floors." The elevator jerked violently and the lights went out. A second later they flickered back on. Eli was on the 5th floor. The doors opened and he stumbled out, panting. Behind him, on the elevator's metal wall, a single handprint slowly slid down, leaving a smear like damp ash. The next morning, Eli told the building's night guard what happened. The old man looked up from his coffee, tired but alert. "You shouldn't use it after 2, he said flatly. "Not since her." The guard told him a story. Years ago, a woman got trapped inside that same elevator during a power failure. 6 hours. They heard her screaming through the doors, but when they pried it open, she was gone. Only her shoes left behind. That night, Eli decided he'd take the stairs. Halfway up, the lights flickered again. From below, the elevator dinged. Its doors opened on their own, slowly, smoothly, though nobody had called it. Inside, sitting neatly in the middle of the floor, was a pair of old gray women's shoes. Eli stood there for a long time. The hallway was silent except for the hum of the fluorescent light above him. Then, as if pulled by something unseen, he stepped into the elevator. The doors closed quietly behind him. He didn't press anything. The elevator started to move on its own down past the lobby, past the basement. The indicator above the doors blinked. Bay dos, bay tres, bay cuatro. He slammed the buttons, yelling, but the panel didn't respond. The air grew colder. A voice, barely human, whispered beside his ear, again soft, almost grateful this time. "Thank you for coming back for me." The screen cut to black. The elevator doors opened in the dark, and only Eli's shoes remained on the floor neatly placed beside hers. Back in the lobby, the elevator returned on its own. The doors opened to nothing. The indicator blinked gently. 2:37 a.m.